Welcome back for another video. It's a big double game week 34. We've got 13 fixtures in front of us. A spread of chips active this week among the experts, and the hits are flying. A quick thank you as well to the experts for working within the tight schedule this week and submitting their responses quick enough to get this one out. 5 game weeks to go. Hit subscribe to follow this series for what remains of the season. So starting with our manager highlight, David Vaux still inside the top 100 in the world, a small red arrow last week after scoring 63 points. Well done if you were able to beat the experts average, which was 62. He looks well set up with 2 transfers banked, so let's see how high he goes on next week's video. Moving on, this week just 7% are rolling the transfer. It's the week to be aggressive if it suits your team. Hits to sell single game weekers for double game weekers is the play. 37% are making 2 transfers, 30% are making 3, 7% are making 4. More experts are taking hits than aren't this week. We've not had a week like this for some time. 41% are on a -4, 13% are on a -8, and one manager's on a -12. So with an absolute ton of transfers made, here's who's joined and left their team, sorted by highest to lowest. Trent's joined 47% of the experts teams this week, with Chilwell dropped by 29%. If you're still a Chilwell owner, this one's a move that makes perfect sense. Chelsea out of form, conceding goals, and they've got a single game week against Arsenal. Salah's joined second among the most transferred in. Again, if you're a Kane owner, a transfer route that makes sense is to downgrade him and upgrade a mid to Salah. We can clearly see that among the top transfers, with Kane the most sold and 4 mil Greenwood's the joint most transferred in. It's looking like a switch to a front 2 for the run-in. Jota's been transferred in by 15%. He did come off early last match. Klopp said, quote, "Diego Jota had a bad knock on his back against West Ham, but he should be alright. We will see how that develops. Apart from that, we should be okay." So after netting in back-to-back games and a double game week up next, Stones has been picked up by 13%. His minutes have been a bit scattered recently though, with some early substitutions in recent weeks before the 60-minute mark, something to be mindful of, and Diaz could be the safer, more sensible option. Does cost 0.5 mil more, but he's played the full 90 in his last 9 games in a row. Grealish is flavour of the month among the City mids, but Mahrez could be in line for a start in both games, a more direct attacker than Bernardo, who has started the last couple. City will control games still this week against Fulham and West Ham, so Mahrez tactically may suit better, and is one to genuinely consider for 7.3 mil. We'll hope for some clarification on De Bruyne's availability before the deadline though, having been subbed early with a minor muscle issue against Arsenal. He ran the show and he's an extremely high upside pick with such a good pair of games, particularly worth considering if you're on a free hit. It's an interesting week for chip usage. We've not seen this at any point this season. There's 3 chips active, the free hit, bench boost and triple captain chips active among the experts. If you still got any of these, then it is a logical week to use them. If you're in a rare position with multiple chips, and you may want to save one for Gameweek 37, such as the triple captain, which can be used on Haaland then, and use your other chip this week. We didn't get a chance to catch up with any experts this week with a chip active due to the short turnaround, though my free hit is active, so if you haven't watched that video from early today, it does include my free hit team. Now things get even more interesting, onto the Gameweek 34 captaincy. I expected this one to look like last week, where we had 92% on Haaland. He's still a massive favourite here, but 86% captaincy, and Salah gets a surprisingly high 14%. Up until last week, Salah was best in the league for expected goal involvement over the last 6. His numbers have dropped off slightly over the last 2, but still very impressive. Over the last 6, Haaland has 6.54 XGI, Salah has 4.19 XGI. Salah does have the back-to-back home games in a double game week though, and he has scored in his last 5 home games in a row, 6 goals and a couple of assists over that run, slightly inflated by the 2 goals, 2 assists against Man United and the 7-0. Nonetheless, if you're chasing, clearly a chunk of the experts feel it's a risk worth taking. Love to know your thoughts on this one, leave a comment below. Moving on to the experts team reveal for Gameweek 34, with hundreds of transfers made, here's how they line up. It's Raya in goal. Not enough transfer activity for a double game week goalkeeper, but it's a strong fixture for Brentford home to Forest. The back 3 is Estepinian, Trent and Shaw. In midfield is packed with double game weekers as well. Salah vice captain, Mitoma, Rashford, March and Grealish. And then up top it's a front 2 of Watkins and Haaland captain. Many of us will be fearing the worst this week, those of us benching Trippier. There's every chance he matches the output of double game week defenders, facing bottom of the league Southampton this weekend. Perhaps it's a decision to genuinely weigh up, is it worth starting Shaw, Estepinian or Trippier? Newcastle have worsened defensively, which does make the decision a bit easier. No clean sheet since Game Week 29. Over the last 6 matches, their 32 chances conceded down the centre is worst in the league, 28 down the left flank is second worst in the league. Man United's combined clean sheet odds are 46% of keeping at least one, Newcastle's are 51.5%. Trippier actually more favourite to keep a clean sheet, however Shaw does get the extra appearance points and extra chance of an attacking return with more minutes. Interested to know if anyone is considering playing Trippier over a double game week asset. Certainly an easier call with players like Andreas who have a rough double game week this week. Each game week we ask the experts to offer their insight and tips for the game week ahead. Evolution FC says, don't be afraid to take hits that improve your team now and in the long term. Remember, a hit for say Rashford will net you 2 more fixtures over a non-double game weeker by the end of the season, so the hit will repay itself on appearance points. Bon FPLT has the triple captain active and says, let's go triple captain Salah, go hard or go home. FPL Berg says, I'm hoping my bench boost this week can bring a significant green arrow. I've had mixed success with my chip strategy so far. I found myself using them at different times to most managers, mainly due to the players I had 7 or 8 game weeks ago suiting the free hit 28 approach. I have confidence in the 15 I've gone with. The 3 from each of Man City, Man United, Brighton and Liverpool are all strong options and will be difficult to get for those who don't wildcard last week as I did. Returns for my lower owned players like Jota and Isak will go a long way to making my bench boost a success, as will clean sheets from my Man United double defence. Benjamin Age says, after game week 1 I said here in a quote that FPL wasn't a sprint but a marathon. Well, here we are getting closer and closer to the finish line with only 5 more game weeks to go. So the sprint is now on to achieve your goals for the season, whatever they may be. Let's go. And lastly, Flair Players says, there will be hits flying this week, but you can't have the perfect team every week. The players you bring will probably have to be players that you want for the rest of the season. That concludes this episode, thanks for watching. Before you go, drop it a like if you enjoyed it and make sure you subscribe for more to come for the rest of the season. See you soon for the next one.